This is Harsh Rules. I'm Ben Harsh, and today we're going to learn to play Empire of the Sun. Empire of the Sun was originally released in 2005 by GMT Games and designed by Mark Herman. This game supports 2 players and takes 6 hours to play. Before we begin this episode, I'd like to recognize the Harsh Rules Patreon supporters that help make content like this possible. If you'd like to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/harshrules to learn more. And once again, thank you for your support. Welcome back to the Harsh Rules Breakdown for Empire of the Sun. In this episode, we're going to learn about the various pieces of transit infrastructure that can be built in China, Burma, and India. We will then learn about conducting China offensives. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get started. Let's begin with infrastructure. Empire of the Sun has several historical opportunities to develop infrastructure that expedites transit across Asia. These include the construction of rail and roads in India, the Burma Road strategic transport route, and most famously, the strategic route between Bangkok and Rangoon, the highlight of which is famously known as the bridge on the River Kwai. Next, we're going to take a look at each of these in greater detail. Let's discuss the bridge on the River Kwai. The Bangkok to Rangoon transportation route, also referred to as the Bangkok to Rangoon Railroad, can only be constructed through the play of the Bridge on the River Kwai card for its event. When activating any Japanese units in Burma, northern India, or Ceylon, or any combination thereof, the efficiency value of the activating HQ is modified depending on the status of the Japanese logistical network. If the Bridge on the River Kwai event has not been played and Rangoon is Allied controlled, the efficiency value of an HQ is modified by -1 to a minimum of 0. In other words, the HQ can activate 1 less unit. If the Bridge on the River Kwai event has been played and Rangoon is Japanese controlled, with at least 1 Japanese activating unit tracing a supply line by way of the Bangkok to Rangoon transportation route, the activating HQ's efficiency value is modified by +1. In short, the Bridge on the River Kwai allows the Japanese to activate an additional unit. If neither of the above statements is true, the efficiency value of the activating HQ is not modified. The above modifiers are applied if at least 1 unit activated during the offensive starts in Burma, northern India, or Ceylon. The modifiers are not applied if all units activated start outside these areas, even if some of the units enter Burma, northern India, or Ceylon during the offensive. At the start of the 1941 campaign scenario, the 3 hexes, Jarhat, Imphal, and Lado, have a marker placed on them denoting that the strategic transport route printed on the map is not yet constructed. Therefore, to get the half movement point cost bonus and more easily traverse this section of the board, players will want to construct the railways and roads connecting these areas. Let's walk through the construction rules and see how this is done. For the Allies to build this infrastructure, they must control northern India plus Akyab. They may then play a 3-value operation card for each hex to build there. The Allies must first construct Jarhat, then they may build Imphal or Lado, each for the same cost. Remove the marker to indicate construction is complete. This will reveal the road or the rail on the map. The space is immediately usable for half movement point cost for all game purposes. Also note that once construction is complete, it is permanent and cannot be altered for the remainder of the game. Please note, the Japanese can use the same construction procedure, but they may only build Imphal. This does not require that Jarhat is built first. However, the Japanese require a line of communication trace from Imphal by way of strategic transport route to Japanese-controlled Rangoon to construct this. Next, let's discuss the Burma Road. The Burma Road is a strategic transport route that extends from Kunming to Lashio. The condition of the Burma Road is monitored on the Burma Road status track. The boxes in this track indicate whether the road is open or closed and provides a Chinese offensive strength modifier in yellow. If the Burma Road is open, Kunming is a supply source for the Allied player. This also provides the most significant negative modifier to a Japanese-led China offensive. We'll cover those in just a moment. The Burma Road is considered open under two scenarios. First, a strategic transport route can be traced from Kunming to Rangoon and then either by way of sea to Madras or by sea to a map edge. The sea portion of the route cannot pass through an unneutralized aircraft zone of influence. Second, a strategic transport route can be traced from Kunming to Madras by way of the constructed Jarhat-Lado and Jarhat-Imphal routes. If these conditions cannot be met by either of these options, then the Burma Road is considered closed. Now, if the Allies play card 17, China Airlift, hump operations into China event, the hump is active and the Burma Road marker is flipped to its hump side for the remainder of the game. In this situation, if the Burma Road is closed and the marker is on its hump side, the Burma Road marker is placed on the Burma Road/hump box as long as the Allies control a supply-eligible northern India airfield. If the Allies do not control a northern India airfield, then the Burma Road is closed with no hump. This can be adjusted if the Allies gain control of a northern India airfield again. When hump operations are active, you'll notice that there is a -4 on the China offensive strength modifier. And now that we have a better understanding of how the Burma Road functions, let's learn how China offensives work. In an earlier episode, you might have noticed there was an option to play China offensives. This is a Japanese-specific maneuver aimed at breaking down the Chinese government so they will surrender. The Chinese government stability is monitored by the Chinese government front status track. When the full campaign or the shortened campaign begins, the China marker is in the stable front box. Successful China offensives move this marker left towards the government collapse box. There are two options for conducting a China offensive. Option 1 is to play a 3-value operation card and make a successful China offensive die roll. The second option is to play a political event card that automatically moves the marker. Keep in mind, the Japanese player can launch a Chinese offensive during any game turn, but not on consecutive game turns. Japan has several divisions in China dedicated to this objective. However, the Allies are fighting to prevent this. If a China offensive was unsuccessful and there was Allied air support, this can move the China marker one box to the right towards the stable front box. The China marker can also be moved towards the stable front box by playing specific Allied political event cards. Before we get into the mechanics for conducting a China offensive, with a 3 operation value strategy card, we need to familiarize ourselves with a few more areas of the game board associated with China. Let's begin with the Japanese divisions available in China and their intrinsic strength in Chinese cities. Each city hex in Japanese-occupied China is considered to contain one intrinsic 912 one-step Japanese ground unit. To be clear, this would be a 9 attack strength, 12 defense strength, one-step unit that does not count against stacking limits. And in combat, these units are always removed last. The number of these units in each red dot Chinese city is determined by the Japanese divisions available in China track. Next to the 912 division symbology, you'll notice a multiplier in the 5 to 12 boxes. This means when the marker is in boxes 0 through 4, there is one division per red dot city, Boxes 5 through 8, 2 divisions, and boxes 9 through 12, 3 divisions. While this may seem formidable, remember the Japanese player will need to redeploy divisions from China to contend with Allied pressure in the rest of the Pacific. Each turn, the Japanese player may bring in 2 replacement steps from China for this purpose. The Japanese divisions in China marker will be lowered 1 space on the track for each replacement step. A few turns of the Japanese player redeploying divisions for replacements will then significantly weaken Japan's intrinsic strength in China, as well as make China offensives less effective, as we'll see in just a moment. Now, let's discuss Allied air units in China. This is tracked by the Air Units in China box. Up to 2 air units may be in this box at any one time, but only one of these may be a B-29. The Air Units in China box is essentially in Kunming. This means for it to be in supply requires that either the Burma Road is open or there's an active hump with a supply-eligible airfield in India. If supply cannot be achieved, then air units cannot be activated, cannot participate in China offensives, suffer attrition, but cannot be eliminated. For activation, an Allied HQ can activate in-supply air units in the box if it can trace an activation path to Kunming or the hump is active with an eligible India airfield. As for placing units in the box, if China has not surrendered and the Burma Road is open, the Allied player may place Allied air units as reinforcements directly into the China box. In regards to air unit range from the box, Allied air units, including B-29s, that are activated during an offensive, which also includes reaction, can fly from a northern India supply-eligible airfield to the China box and vice versa. This distance is considered one leg regardless of the air unit's actual range factor, and a B-29 unit in China is considered to be in range of Tokyo only for strategic bombing and Allied victory purposes. And now that we've familiarized ourselves with the Japanese divisions in China and the Allied air units in China box, let's now look at the calculation for conducting a China offensive. Let's look at conducting a China offensive with a 3-value operation card. To complete the die roll for this offensive, we need to calculate the offensive baseline value. To determine this value, first we add the current Japanese divisions in China. Next, we check the Allied Burma Road support. This is the number listed at the bottom of each box in the Burma Road status track. After that, we add 1 for each non-long-range bomber air unit in China. A maximum of 2 can be added here from the air units in China box. Please note there is an exception that the 14 AF LRB are also eligible here. These numbers are total to determine the offensive baseline value. The Japanese player then rolls a D10, and if the result is equal to or less than the offensive baseline value, then the China offensive is successful. If the Japanese player fails this roll, and if there was air support in the air units in China box, the China marker is moved 1 space towards the stable box. However, an unsuccessful die roll will not allow the China marker to enter the stable front box. And now that we've looked at the various pieces of infrastructure in Asia and conducting China offensives, this is a good place to stop for this episode. To be notified when future Harsh Rules breakdowns are available, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for notifications. If you found this video helpful, please give me a like and share with your friends. To be the first notified when the next episode of Harsh Rules becomes available, please hit the bell icon for notifications. And as always, this has been Harsh for Harsh Rules. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.